You're
All right,
fucked.
I've got one that bothers me. Have you seen A Star Is Born with Brad Cooper and Lady Gaga? They have a song that's the hit song.
Yes, The
And
Shallow.
Yes, and her whole opening. Oh, we're really starting? All right, let's go.
From fabulous Las Vegas, Nevada, this is Pod Therapy. Real people, real problems, and real therapists. You can submit your questions anonymously at podtherapy.net or email us at podtherapyguys@gmail.com. This episode is brought to you by our therapy partner, Dirty B.
Dirty B.
And now broadcasting from the Churn, that's Dr. Jim Jobin, that's Dr. Whitney, I'm Dr. Nick, and this is
Doctorates for everybody.
You get a doctorate.
See,
you get a doctorate.
Isn't it hard keeping it so hardcore? I dislike that line. Why? You didn't
I'll be
have to
honest,
say
I
hardcore.
didn't love the lyrics to that song either. It was really popular. I was like, oh.
I mean, I super admired it, and it was such a good movie. Oh my
It was
gosh,
a really
such a good movie.
Never saw the movie.
Better than the original? You never saw
I didn't
the
see
original.
the original.
I read
But
the
there
book.
was like two.
It's been a few times, yeah.
A few times, yeah.
I liked the song better in the book. That's where I picked it up. All right, before we begin, you have to
already
guess
began.
my music thing. Nobody did my music.
No, we know.
It's Christian rock.
No,
obviously.
no, it is not.
It's Jars of Clay.
Jars of Clay on
Full
repeat.
stop.
Shane and Shane.
Yeah, I'm only exclusively listening to Disney sing-alongs right now. I'm going through a huge Disney sing-along phase.
The Greatest Show.
That's really close to what I was going to actually guess.
Yeah, you
which
would've
was
nailed
which
it.
was just Broadway musicals.
I have been going hard on Little Mermaid. Like, fuck that. If you go back and listen to the score, holy shit, it is really good. But the sea witch during the scene where she takes the voice, dude, go back and listen. That
That's a good
woman
song, yeah.
crushes it.
It
is so good.
It's really amazing how every time when we record this podcast, I feel like I change my mind on a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
Like just like 5 minutes ago, I was talking about how I hate people who are judgmental about music.
Yeah.
And then you just said the right thing.
Yeah, and now
you
you're
just
there.
said it.
I
And then
take
you're
it
like,
back.
oh,
I
you
am
know what?
judgmental.
Listen,
Yeah,
I
I'm
take
that
the
guy
Jim Little Mermaid challenge. Listen to the Sea Witch stealing the girl's voice. I forgot what it's called. And then also listen to Under the Sea by the Jamaican crab Sebastian. Holy shit, that is a bop. That is so good. I listen to that shit on repeat, and I'm getting real close to knowing all the lyrics. But it is fast as shit. Like, it is really hard to get there. So those are my
I'm
nominations.
having a lot of second thoughts about this
No,
band.
these are all wins. No, you can't back out of our fictional band.
I sure can.
No, you can't. Because I fictionally don't let you. You can't triple stamp a double stamp.
There you see her sitting there across the way. She don't have a lot to say, and
But
that's
there's
kind of
something about
perfect. I don't like my women too talky, so I kissed the girl.
Sha-la-la-la-la-la.
I mean, that's definitely what that song is about.
Yeah, I always squeeze in with consent.
I am so glad that woman shut her mouth so I can kiss the girl.
Whoa. Whitney, you're with me on this,
I am.
and I know you are.
I do love musicals. I love a good musical.
Oh, I know. Hamilton all day. I was listening to that on repeat. Almost all musicals I'm into.
Look at her, you know you do. Or you say, yes, you want her. Look at her, you know you do.
You
Possible
want
she
her.
wants you too.
Ooh.
There's only one way to ask her. It don't take a word, not a single word. Go on and kiss the girl.
Oh my god, that's bad.
I'm just reading the verse
That
now.
is-
I'm not even making fun of it
You
anymore.
don't have to sing it, you're just reading. These are facts.
Yeah,
Damn.
definitely didn't age well, which is going to be really interesting when they do the live action one. I'm really eager to see what the live action one is.
Yeah.
If you'd like to play along at home and guess what each person in the studio's favorite genre of music is, you can go to patreon.com/therapy, and for as little as $1, you can grab this show a day early, almost an hour longer, and get all the extra
Save your
goodies.
dollar. There's no surprises.
It's wonderful. You'll never guess. The third one will blow your mind. Anyway, we've got some great questions tonight, and the first one is, when friends feel like tasks, from Anonymous. Hello, I started my first year of university. As I'm finishing up my first year, I've realized that my friendships are less strong. I relocated to a new city for university, so I'm alone most of the time doing schoolwork. When my friends ask me to hang out or even FaceTime, it feels like a job I need to do in order to maintain the friendship. I do like my friends, but in the back of my head, it feels like I could be doing something more productive. I feel bad for putting in less effort, and sometimes I'm accused of only giving my free time to my boyfriend, who I do have a long-distance relationship with. It becomes a mental battle because when I do allow myself to have that free time, I want to spend it with my boyfriend. not my friends. So, am I now a bad friend? Because I don't want to become that one girl that has no friends and only talks to her boyfriend. But my boyfriend brings me the most peace and happiness. I'm just very confused to why it feels so hard to maintain friendships when I used to be a very social person that would hang out and reach out to friends constantly. Thank you. I love the podcast, Anonymous.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
It's hard. It doesn't get easier. You're fucked.
Mm-hmm.
Did you guys go to school very far away from where you grew up? Like, how far from
2
your
hours.
home? 2 hours?
Yeah.
For high school?
From high school
It's
to
a
college.
long-ass commute.
To college. She's talking about college.
You're talking about college?
Yeah.
This is what happens when you only hear half the sentence.
I was like,
Yeah. It
That's like a
probably was
4-hour drive.
same.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
I went to UNLV for 2 years. That was pretty close. So
For 2 years? Where did you go?
then I transferred to Liberty.
Oh.
The
But
place
you didn't
where the
go there.
Baptists live. I did not. But I had to spend summers there. So then I was far away.
Okay.
The other parts I was not.
Where did you say Liberty is again?
Liberty, Virginia.
Oh,
Lynchburg,
that's far.
Virginia.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep. So that was pretty
That's where Jesus lives.
It is.
Jesus.
Yeah. Southern Baptist, Kentucky
Yeah.
Fried Jesus.
Yeah.
He's down there. Why do you ask?
I was just thinking about her talking about cultivating friendships and, or I guess the writer talking about cultivating friendships. And so, I don't know, I thought about for myself leaving home, it was hard to maintain friendships. And some of that's part of growing and just becoming a little more independent. It's different than high school where you don't really have a lot else to do usually. So you are just hanging out with your friends. And so some of that's kind of normal. Just you pull away. And a lot of my friends, we reconnected years later and built stronger bonds as adults and who we are now versus who we were in high school.
How long? Go ahead.
Well, I think a lot of it has to do with common interests, right? I mean, so we associate with people we have common interests with, and when you go away to college, maintaining those relationships becomes more difficult because your common interests are now separated.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So it's like, okay, so my friends in high school, we had common interests, we would hang out, but those common interests we can't do over distance.
Right.
Yeah.
So you naturally grow apart. And the thing with like maintaining relationships, even through like FaceTime, like that sucks because really your only common interest then is communication, like talking. Like you're not
Especially-
doing anything. It's
Yeah.
not an activity.
Well, yeah.
So
And if your
Developing
friendship
memories
didn't
together.
start-
Yeah.
Yeah, if your friendship didn't start that way, like I get the hint from the writer that like the friendships probably started in that more proximity, organic way of
Yeah.
like high
Right.
school.
Yeah.
And that's, I think you're right, Nick. That's like a stage of becoming.
Yeah.
So like this is what teenagers do. They just associate, right?
Yeah.
Like they just loiter in a room. Remember when we were in high school, and like, well, Whitney and I were, these guys were like, sticks and stones and fire and
Yeah.
flint. But when we were in
We
high
were
school,
working on the farm.
in the modern age, you probably were. It was just you sat in a room. You just sat in a room with
Yeah.
other people, and they were over here on their computer reading their email, and you were just like over here listening to music, and like you just didn't have to talk or do anything. You're just in the same space,
Yeah.
and like I don't
Really?
know. Yeah,
Well-
I feel like,
See,
or
my-
you'd have like the
Well-
party line phone, and you'd be talking to like your friends,
Yeah, I was
thinking,
passing
like,
the phone around.
My friend group, we would do things. So like I had a group
Meet
of
up in
friends.
Walmart parking lot.
Oh yeah, do donuts in the field.
I mean, we did stealing signs.
Bonfires.
We did a
Cow
lot of
tipping?
stuff like that. We would do bonfires,
Yeah.
but like bonfires, or we would be, I had a group
Backroading.
of hockey friends, so we were either playing hockey or we were going to a game together,
Right.
Oh, cool.
or just trying to think of other things that we like. In college, a bunch of us would shoot pool, so we'd go hang out at the bar. Shoot
I remember
pool.
that. Yeah,
But all of these friendships were all around an activity.
okay.
There's always something happening. And so I think from the writer's perspective, it sounds like what you're trying to do is maintain these relationships without any kind of activity. It's
Right.
more like just talking or just going and hanging out. So maybe that's part of the problem because like it's hard for me, I think, so I've got one friend that I'm still really close with, but he and his family moved to Tennessee.
No, I didn't.
Yeah. All right. That's what I'm talking about. So, but we'll get together every once in a while for a virtual beer. So
okay.
we'll meet on Zoom and we kind of talk and all that. But like we don't do that every week
That's called cybering. but go on.
because it's hard to do that, and it's like it's hard to just sit and talk
Right.
for me.
Yeah.
I want to be doing something.
Yeah, an activity.
You know? And so I think that's part of it. So maybe it's not necessarily so much work that you're having to struggle to maintain these relationships. Maybe a better approach is, hey, find something that you want to do anyway.
Right.
And then ask a friend to join you.
Yeah.
And then kind of build some work on fostering those relationships over activities as opposed to making it work to just talk.
Yeah, I agree with that.
I think you're forgetting the number one activity too. So this is her first year at university.
Yeah.
The number one activity that she has done with her friends up until this last year is go to school.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
You are trapped with this group of people.
You just have
You're going to be
this
friends with
common
them. You're going to
reality.
see them 5 days a week,
Right.
every day.
Yeah.
Like, these are your friends in some ways by force.
Yeah. Well, it's kind of
Right.
like when you're a kid, like your best friends are the ones that live next to you.
Right. There
Right.
you go.
And then as you get older, your
Just
friend
assigned
group is
to
like
you.
gets
Yeah.
larger and larger.
Yeah. So like it does as you get older, and the first kind of time it happens is when you go to college, when you go to that university. The first time that's when it becomes work cultivating those friendships.
Yeah.
And so I mean I think that might be part of what this writer is experiencing is seeing now like, oh shit, this is not just something that happens
Right.
anymore. This is something that I have to do. I have to be
You
active
don't
in
have
this
that
now.
natural collision.
So maybe
anymore.
it's a little bit about adjusting expectations.
That, to me, is a big
understanding
piece of
that you're still going to be friends, but that relationship now changes.
Yeah.
The
Yeah.
dynamics are going to be a
Well,
little
I
bit
think your
different.
taste changes over time. Like, how long can you guys go between seeing a friend before you feel like I need to see a buddy? You know what? I've been flying solo too
Like
long.
any friend or
just
a
with your-
specific friend?
your
for me.
partner for a while, but then like, how long will you go before you're like, I'm gonna call up a buddy and I need to get out with my person, and maybe that's a best friend or just any friend. How long before you get the social itch?
I'd say mine's pretty quick. A couple like 2 weekends,
Okay.
or maybe 3, and then I'm like, I haven't done anything or
Right.
talked to anyone.
You're
Or if
reaching
I
out.
have a down weekend, I'll start seeing like who can I reach out to.
If you know you have empty time, okay, then you're dialing.
I probably
people up.
overstretch myself because I do that too much.
Oh, okay. You'll try to cram everybody into the.
Then I'm like,
weekend.
I'm tired. Why am I so tired? But yeah.
Okay, a couple of weekends. What about for you?
Depends on the person. I
Okay.
mean, so I don't know. Like, there's a lot of my friends, like back from Iowa, you know, where like some I will reach out to and contact more frequently than others.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's not always like meaningful contact. I mean, sometimes it's I'm
Well, I don't
sending
just
them
mean
a
your
meme.
childhood friends. I mean your social itch just in Las Vegas. How long before you're like, I need to go to get a buddy and go get a beer?
Well,
or-
again, like most of shit.
it's still activity based.
It
Well, you
is,
see
like,
someone every weekend when you golf. Like,
yeah,
Yeah.
You're
a
getting
lot
that
of it is
met, even if
golfing.
it's not necessarily like
Plus,
Yeah.
we're on that
people you'd
hockey
always
team.
want to spend time with. It's like
Yeah.
you're doing an activity you enjoy and you're getting that social itch scratch.
Jacob, you feel like you're a pretty social guy, actually.
Yeah, I'm out
A bunch.
Yeah.
often.
You're always doing something.
Yeah.
You'll be like board game night, like just stuff's always going on.
Board game night is like a night off. If
Yeah.
we're like hanging out with people, because we don't do board games, but if I or I and SJ or SJ and I, that was a weird way to say that.
Yeah, I like to do that.
If one or both of us is playing board games, that means that we're at a friend's house that likes board games,
And just
and
go along
like
with
they've
it.
recommended they said let's hang out and play board games, and that's like a sit around with our shoes off type
Sure.
night,
Hang
pretty
on.
relaxing.
Yeah. Okay. So for me, I can go a year. I've noticed this. I will if I didn't have this podcast, I would not see anybody that I am not related to for about a year until fantasy football draft, and then I'd go to the in-person draft, see my friend Eddie, wave at the other people, and leave, and that would be it. That is, but I bring that up because the writer talks about change over time. And the writer says, I used to be like a really good friend. And I was like back in college and like in my early 20s, I would get stir crazy if I was just at home for too long. Like I would call up, I was very much like calling up people on the weekends. Like, oh, I have spare time. What are you doing? There's this sports game or there's this thing or there's a carnival, and calling up other couples and being like, oh, what are you guys doing? Like even when I didn't have a kid and they did, I'd be like, oh, what's your kid doing? Like, oh, there's a ballet class, can we go? And
Yeah,
we'll
I
get
do
dinner
that.
afterward.
That's
Yeah.
creepy.
Just to go. Not as
That's
creepy as it
super
sounds.
creepy.
I brought the rest of the people.
Is your kid taking ballet? Can I go watch?
Did you miss the part where Whitney says she does that? Okay. Thank you.
I didn't say it was less creepy when Whitney did it.
He didn't.
I just said
Way
that
to
action
not
I
see
just-
gender.
was creepy.
Yeah.
You're a very progressive man. Universally, you're all bad people.
Yeah.
So yeah, I used to be all about that, and just oh my gosh, as the years have passed, I was just
Is
talking.
that
about
because
this
you're
the other day.
exhausted from kids?
Yeah, that might be it. I really enjoy my kids. I think that's a big part of it, and they're older now, so like. I'm like, I'll grab my daughter and be like, you want to play Mario? And she's like, yeah, let's play Mario. I'm like, hell yeah, let's play Mario. And so like, I'll download all these games. Like, we're playing board games. So I really like
I mean, that's
just
nice
playing
though,
with
because
my
that means
kids.
you've stopped having to enjoy other people's kids.
This is, yeah, I no
Yeah,
longer
you
go
didn't
to
have
other
to go to
people's
ballet.
ballets. I
Yeah.
have my own kids' ballet to
I
go
still have to go to the
Yeah.
gymnastics.
So
You
that keeps
enjoy
me
your
pretty
own
busy.
children instead of enjoying other people's children.
Yeah, I do not have
The
any
more
desire
I
to
say
become a
enjoy in this context, the worse it sounds.
I'm really glad you're doing that. So to the writer, I think you're getting lots of different perspectives. Mine is I just want to validate and normalize the loss of interest, and
Yeah.
for that interest to become more specialized into right now your partner. I think a lot of us find that we kind of take our social tokens, and for many people, not all, but for many people, those social tokens kind of start to condense into just a couple of people because spare time is hard to come by. And so you really don't continue to go out there and sample the open market. You kind of just continue to invest social tokens into the people that you really enjoy, and you get a return on investment.
Right.
So that makes sense to
And
me.
sometimes that just means enjoying other people's children.
That's where we were really trying to go with that. Great question, writer. Lots of friendship questions going on this spring. I think that's good for us. Oh, we didn't even mention the Reddit AMA. We have a Reddit AMA. It's coming up. I think it's May 2nd. I don't know. It's like a Wednesday or something. It might be
said
May
the
3rd.
Shit.
That sounds better.
We should
Let's go with
probably
May 3rd.
figure that out.
Don't
if
worry
we're
about
gonna-
it. They'll figure
I thought
it
it
out.
had already happened.
This is your responsibility, listeners.
Jacob slipped through it.
May 3rd. Go find us. It's going to be on Reddit. We need your support. We need your upvotes. We need your questions. If you'd like to join the TheraPal Army that's going to be helping support all the writers of questions, go to our Discord. You start at patreon.com/therapy. Throw $1 in the hat. Come join us at Discord, and we will get you ready to support us. So we're going to take a quick break, and when we come back, we're going to talk about analysis, paralysis, and fertility. You're listening to Pod Therapy.
Today's episode is brought to you by Robert Brownie Jr., Mint, Kayla Lansbury, Cindy Ash, Kevin Chamberlain, Ben Stanley, Adam Hathaway, Myra, Lib, Heyo, and Slurpikaye, motherfucker. And we got some trivia that was sent in by Myra. This one I'm kind of excited for. Gentle peeps of Pod Therapy realm. Please find my newest trivia questions. These questions are 1-star reviews of famous locations.
Oh,
Great.
these are
I'll give you the
great.
review, one clue if necessary, then an approximate location. Okay, I've given you 4, so maybe over
Myra,
2.
this
Okay,
is
perfect.
a very promising
Is-
trivia.
there's no example?
No.
I was hoping for an example. Okay, great.
Okay, so here's the first one. It's a 1-star review. We have to guess what it is.
Are we
Okay.
buzzing in?
No, I'm going to read the whole thing
Oh,
first.
okay, good.
All right. 9th Circle of Hell. I read a review that described blank as a psychotic henhouse, and I would say that's apt. 2 to 4 hours just to get through the gate. Once inside, the government-issued lodging and dining facility gave you a feel of a minimum security or drug treatment center. The crowds of tourists jam-packed to see this quote-unquote wonder are unbearable, akin to Times Square on New Year's Eve.
Oh my God.
Do yourself a favor, stay home and check it out on Google Earth.
Oh, I've got it.
Oh, me too. Do we have
You
options?
think so? No.
Oh, we're just going blind?
Yeah.
Should we?
There's a clue, there's a location, and then there's the answer. So you don't need the clue?
I guess it's more fun for listeners if they get the clue.
Well, I'm
I
going to
want a
take the
clue.
clue anyway because
we-
I
I
don't
want
know.
a clue.
All right. Before
Take
we
your
commit to
guesses.
the strategy, can I amend my answer? The clue obviously invalidates
I
it.
No.
I
I'm
have
facilitating
no.
the show.
I have an
damn it.
idea. I have an
shouldn't be
idea.
punished.
So what do we have? We have a clue.
So there's a clue,
Uh-huh.
and then she gave us a location.
Okay.
To zoom in on
And
it a little
then
bit further.
there's the answer. So
Okay.
basically two
Two clues.
clues.
So
and
there
an
are 2
answer.
clues, and then it gives it away.
Yeah.
So we have the basic thing that we just heard.
Yes.
Then we have a clue. Then we have a third clue.
Yes.
So we have 3
Well, you have the
clues,
answer.
and then yeah. So we have 3 clues, and then the
Yeah.
answer. So here's what I suggest. I suggest if you want to guess now,
Yeah.
you can guess now.
Oh, get bonus.
Get like
and
2
that
points.
gets you
I like
3
this.
points,
All right.
or 3 points.
Yep, I follow.
You guess the next one, you get 2
2
points.
and
You
1.
guess the third one, you get 1 point.
All right.
And then no points, obviously,
Fair
on the
enough.
other
All right.
last.
I'm going to take a shot for 3.
Me too.
Jordan fades back. I'm going with Grand Canyon.
Ooh, not even the same country that I'm thinking.
I was thinking that too. I was like, I'm
Oh.
going outside the country.
I'm going- Egyptian pyramids.
Wonder of the world, you son of a bitch.
Okay.
Government facilities.
I'm going to take the 2-pointer. I'm going to take the clue.
All right.
Whitney, you want to
Yeah.
Take the clue also?
I wanted
Let's
the
get
clue.
the
I'm
clue.
gonna do
Okay.
that.
Oh, shit.
We should have written down the answers.
You're totally right, though. It's
We
gonna
should
be
have written down the answers for the early questions. We've given them
Said
hints
like
now.
a
This
prison?
location is a common side trip for visitors to the Sin City.
Looks
good for Jim.
Okay. So I'm going to take the 2-pointer. I'm going to agree with Jim. I'm going to say Grand Canyon.
What should be Red Rock?
It's
I was
Pahrump.
gonna say Hoover Dam.
Oh, shit.
She
Actually,
got it.
that's it.
She
That's
nailed
the answer
it.
right
I
there.
just went,
That was
and
for
it feels
2,
like
right?
Yeah.
That was for 2, so
That's
the
2
final,
points.
the
That's 2
final bit
points
is
for
the
Whitney.
answer, right?
Yeah.
So
No,
that's-
we get a location now.
So we've all guessed. So we've all got.
So what's the location?
Williams, Arizona.
Grand Canyon.
Oh, that's back to Grand Canyon.
Oh.
It is the Grand Canyon.
Full
Grand
circle,
Canyon.
Jim for 3.
So Jim's got
Just
3.
go to the Grand
Yeah.
Canyon. That's weird.
I've got
That makes
2.
0 sense. Okay, listeners, if you want to go to the Grand Canyon, you don't have to go through all that.
Yeah, no.
Like,
It turns out the Grand Canyon is
It's
very
grand.
big.
Yeah, there's many opportunities.
You can get into
I'm
it
so
a
I've
lot of
never
different ways.
had to
Yeah.
wait.
Now we
I
have
don't
to.
know.
We always
No.
have to remember too. These are 1-star reviews.
Yeah,
Which
are notorious for being
that's-
terrible.
They're
Right.
terrible.
Is that like have y'all
I
been
like
to like
this
the
game.
North Rim or whatever where you
Oh,
can
there's
go?
the East Rim, there's West Rim. Yeah, there's all this different.
Yeah,
I
I
think
guess-
we approach from the West Rim.
So this says the Grand Canyon.
We're usually south or west.
South,
out
South,
here.
yeah.
The West
south.
one's the garbage
Extra
one. The South
point if
one's
you
the good one.
specify South Rim. So this one was written about the South Rim.
South
Oh.
Rim is there's a big touristy spot
Yeah.
on the South Rim that this must be about. There's like a it's part of
Well, it's kind of where the hotel is.
Yeah, it's where
yeah,
the
there are
hotel is.
hotels and stuff
Yeah.
right there. The West
Oh.
Rim has the that's on the Native American reservation.
Yeah.
And it has the
Have a
see-through
soup-
bridge.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
That kind of stuff is over in the West
And
Rim.
there's a North Rim too.
North
but
Rim, I think,
you
is
cannot
bridge,
approach
I
from
wanna try
Vegas.
that.
That is a
Yeah.
long drive.
North
All right.
Rim, I hear, is the I've never done the North Rim, but I hear that's the green.
Yeah.
The green side of the Grand
yeah,
Canyon.
I could see
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
Man, I'm surprised by that. I was like, I've
Yeah.
never had to.
I
Felt
will
like I was in a
be
prison
doing
up
a
there.
camping trip up there, so that'll be pretty cool. It's
I
gonna-
love the Grand Canyon.
Yeah,
I love
pretty
hiking
foresty
it. I
area.
love the whole thing.
Have you
Yeah.
done
it's
the
gonna be
Have a
fun.
Supai hike
No.
that goes down into the
Is that the
canyon?
one you have
It's
to
like
take the donkeys?
you can take the donkeys.
Yeah.
Yes.
That's
Well,
the
the
only
famous
way to-
the famous
Yeah.
donkey one is the South Rim.
I'm not
the
carrying my shit.
Angel is it Angel Head Trail or it might just be the Angel Trail or something like that.
believe it's
Yeah,
pronounced
I know what you're
burro.
talking about.
Because I've hiked
Burro.
that trail. I haven't done the donkeys though.
Yeah, you got to
Or
do the
the
That one's
burros.
beautiful, but you have to book it like 2 years in advance right
Damn,
now or
I would
something.
imagine,
yeah.
Those donkeys are in high demand. But
Yeah.
This, by the way, already one of my favorite games of all time.
This is a good game.
I
I
would
like this.
more of this game, please. Everybody, please create a version of this. I want it forever.
I want 1-star reviews of movies.
oh, yes.
Guess the movie
I'm gonna
based on a
fail
1-star
that.
review.
Yes, I want music, probably hits.
Yep.
You know, yeah. And
I was
that
gonna
would be
say
good.
items. Remember there was that banana slicer that had the
Oh.
funniest reviews under it? I don't know. I'll bring
Oh
it
yeah,
up.
you could just do like Amazon reviews.
Yeah,
Honestly,
yeah.
you
Just
can run
1-star
pretty far
Amazon
with
reviews.
this.
Yeah.
Celebrities.
This is fine.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Just
this is
celebrity reviews.
that was, you know they exist.
I hate them.
Somebody wrote them. Analysis paralysis.
Jack Nicholson wouldn't sign my picture. 1 star.
1 star. Analysis paralysis and fertility. Decision making is already hard for me, which is why I've pushed off making this decision till I couldn't anymore. You can only kick the can so far down the road before it hits a wall, bounces back, and hits you in the face. The decision is whether I should try to have children or not. I put off making this decision because I have never felt ready to have children. I don't want to struggle, and that's all motherhood has looked like to me. Motherhood always meant giving up my life and dreams for a life of struggle without even the reward of getting to parent in the way I would want, because I don't have any family that can help me. Money is very tight, so I would be working all the time to make ends meet and never have time to actually parent. I don't have a partner that I feel like I could rely on, and none of this is the lifestyle I want to live. I thought one day I would know, and all the pieces would be in place. But none of that happened, and now I'm in straight panic mode. I don't want to make a decision that I will regret my entire life. I'm 39 years old, and ideally, for best odds of getting pregnant and having a healthy baby, pretty much end by 40 years old. I've been to a fertility clinic to try to buy myself time to kick that can down the road, but it is very intensive and expensive to do. which I don't want to do if I decide I don't want kids, and also money was already an issue. I read something that said pro and con lists aren't helpful, that you have to first decide in your heart, and then, once you know, then you can address the obstacles. Anytime I've talked to people about this, they try to give me solutions, adoption, fertility clinic, etc., 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 or tell me that I can figure out a way where it won't be a struggle. Those are the obstacles. But how do I know what my heart wants? I don't want to make this decision out of fear. I want clarity. Hoping y'all can help, and fast. My biological clock is ticking. But seriously, thank you for being awesome and having this awesome podcast. Signed, Anonymous.
Just a quick question apropos of nothing. When was that letter sent in?
3 years ago.
That's what I was wondering.
Yeah. This pandemic sure is crazy, isn't it? Hope it turns out okay. Anonymous.
Donald Trump is running for president?
But Hillary's emails. Anyway, having a baby.
I wish our society would normalize not having children. Because I do kind of relate to that. I mean, obviously, being a male, I should answer this question first.
I think you're the
right?
one.
Yeah.
I think that
I was
makes
most
sense
interested
that-
in what you were going
Right.
to say.
You're one of the males in this room that don't have children.
Yeah. Yeah, you're not even unique in that position.
I know. It's
I feel like Nick and
there's
I are the
nothing
only
unique
people that
about
should
me.
answer this question.
You know what? Yes. Whitney and I can stand down on this. It's fine.
So over to you, Whitney.
Yeah, so I thought this question was really interesting, and I can really relate to it, being a person who is childless by choice. And a lot of the same reasons that I never really felt an urge to have a child. When I was in my mid-20s, I just told myself, well, I'll see what happens when I'm 30. Everyone says when you're 30, your biological clock starts ticking and you'll want to have one. Never got that urge. I'm in my mid-30s now. So I can relate in that aspect. And I never really had a great example of what a healthier, happy family would really look like. So I think that does play a part for myself, at least. And it sounds like for the writer too. Something that really helped me, because I spent a lot of time worrying about regrets in this area. I would periodically Google, not exactly this, but, what are regrets for women who have not had children? If I met anyone who was older in their 50s or 60s, I would ask them if, depending on the situation, if I felt comfortable, I would ask them, like, hey,
That could be a really funny interaction, though.
it is,
What are your life's regrets?
Yeah.
Ma'am, again, did you want a water, a Pepsi?
I am just the greeter here.
Yeah. This
Yeah.
is a Wendy's.
Excuse me, I need to stop you real quick. This is serious.
Oh, God.
You look like somebody who has a lot of regrets. Can you tell me about those?
Mainly about the children. If they didn't have
Yeah.
children, I would kind of ask, what are your thoughts on that towards somebody who is considering the same thing? And what really helped me mentally was when I stopped trying to fight feeling regret and I accepted that I will feel regret, and that that's not something that you can stop, because it is a life experience that you will not have. And almost like that radical acceptance and embracing that just took like a huge weight off of my shoulders personally. And part of that, I'm using the word regret loosely, because I think it's feeling like you missed out on a life experience that isn't really accurate. Because if I imagine what it might be like in my future self, thinking back, regretting, in quotes, not having children, it's all the good stuff. It's,
Right.
oh, I didn't get to see them grow and flourish
Right.
and be successful and have their own kids and have a family, and they want to come see me every holiday. And
Right.
they're going to take care of me when I'm old, which that's a whole separate
You
thing.
can simplify it like, they'll like me.
They'll
Yeah.
like me.
they'll
and-
like me.
Right? Which every parent, I'm sure, hopes that, but that's not guaranteed. And so for me, getting to that point is thinking back on what the reality is. And with this writer, they're telling us in their reality now is that they haven't had the urge. They listed reasons why they don't feel like it would be beneficial for them to have a child. So for them in this situation, remembering that reality and not thinking about the ideal, because the ideal is not guaranteed. So yeah, basically that.
What do you folks think about the no pros and cons list?
I see why the writer's struggling with that. Yeah, because
I kinda
they're
get it.
worried that they're just listing obstacles.
I kind of get it, but at the same time, like, why not?
Well, I mean, yeah, do it. I mean, it's part of the deliberative process.
Yeah.
Well, what I would ask more than a pros and cons list is what makes you want to engage in motherhood? So the fact that they've gone to a fertility clinic tells me it might be important to them to have a biological child. And so I know they're saying, oh, friends try and problem solve for me. But, you know, if that's not important to them, there are ways to engage in motherhood. If they hit 45 and they're like, oh, shit, I wish I would have been a mom and I'm freaking out. If having your own biological child is not important, then adoption or fostering to adopt if you don't have the funds. That's like a whole side note too.
Yep.
Because everyone
It
says
ain't cheap.
I know. Well, everyone says adopting is expensive. I'm like, there are other ways.
Yep.
So just knowing there are other options out there. If having your own biological child is what you're wanting, if you were to have children, you listed some pretty strong negatives, not having a supportive partner and not having your community.
Yeah.
That's what helps make parenthood bearable, I feel like, watching others. And studies show that. But yeah, so I guess why are they not? So more than pros and cons, why are they not wanting to, or why would they be considering it? What experience are they feeling like they're missing out on? I guess I'm curious, which they didn't really say.
I mean, I feel, again, like I feel a big part of this is just kind of society's expectation. And I think a lot of people, I agree with Whitney. I'm in the same boat where, like, in my 20s, I just assumed I would have children because that's just what you do. You grow up, you get married, you have children. That's what you do. But then as I got older, I was like, not yet. No, I'm not really. And I just never got that urge. And I never had that desire. And then you kind of have that thought of like, oh, something's wrong with me. I guess I'm just kind of weird like that. And it's not until you meet other people that have experienced the same thing and you realize like, oh, no, this is pretty common. This is way more common than people think. You know, there's nothing wrong with just like, you know what? I just never really had the urge. And it is scary because then you do run into that regret thing thinking like, oh, well, what if later I really want children?
Then you remember you're a guy and you can have them whenever you want until you're 80.
Not Nick.
Yeah, not me.
Oh, okay. My bad.
Not anymore. But
You
like,
get that
See, I
shit
didn't know
reversed.
everything about
No, you
Nick,
can't.
okay?
Yeah, Nick took a vow of
Oh,
celibacy.
you did a different type?
no, well, no. So you can get a vasectomy, but like your success rate if you get it reversed
very
within
low.
3 years,
Yeah.
Right.
you're okay. Past 3 years, reversing is.
And you don't
almost
have just
means
like a
nothing.
mason jar filled with frozen splooge
I
in your
do,
freezer.
but for other reasons.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's in my freezer.
I like to-
I keep it.
I like to cook with it. But so
It's cheaper than salt.
I was so salty.
Yeah.
That's right.
Oh, the show is off the rails.
oh yeah, because of us.
I can't wait to
That's
hear
it.
problem.
You're the one who
Yeah.
chimed in and said it was in your freezer. You can shut the fuck
I
up.
just want to be
Yeah.
a part of it.
Get off your high horse. All right, but the thing is though is like I never really had the regret with this, but I've had to deal with like those thoughts of like, oh, what if I regret this decision a lot with jobs. Like that's where I really experience it. Like if I have a choice between, well, I've got a job offer here or I can stay in this job or maybe I can go do that. What should I do?
Yeah.
What if I make a decision and then I regret it? Blah, blah, blah. That used to really stress me out. But then I think I kind of did what Whitney did was this radical acceptance, which for me was just kind of realizing like, okay, well, I can only play the hand that I have.
Right.
I can only play the hand that I'm dealt. So it makes no sense for me to wonder what things would have been like if I'd have been dealt a different hand.
Right.
It doesn't make any sense. Like, this is what I've got. This is what I have to do. And I just don't try to think about those other thoughts.
This is a really good topic.
I know. I want to hear Jim's response.
Well, I think there's several things. So the first thing that really makes me sad about this letter, I dislike that a person says, I would really like to have children, but the economy is so bad that I can't. And it really hurts because I think back to not long ago, like my parents' generation, my parents were dirt poor. Everybody in my family was dirt poor, and they had
And you
lots
still have
of
kids. Yeah.
And it's so interesting that the world we live in now, and this is not just America, was reading a report where Germans are saying that they are afraid to have children because childcare is so expensive. Japan has had a huge drop in birth rate. It's an actual economic problem for their future. America's birth rate is dropping. And I just think, man, that's really sad that somebody wants this. And they have to say that is a luxury, that we live in an America where that's luxury. Yeah. So I guess that part of the letter just jumped off the page at me as like, man, that's really tough.
When the economics work the way they have over the last several decades, and everything is much more expensive than it was when we were kids.
Yeah.
Right.
I mean,
you lose that at-home parent.
It is a
you
thing.
Have to have two incomes.
That's
to
it.
Survive, and then daycare. Man, to put this in perspective, since you three wouldn't know, my children are older now. Thank God. When I had to pay for them to go to daycare, and this was a tax so that I could have a job, right? Just so my spouse and I could work and get our insurance and take care of a family. We were paying per child $1,000 a month,
right?
Easily, between $200 and $250 a week.
And I believe that's cheap.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, now it's
Oh, that is dirt cheap.
Yeah.
You can't find that.
Yeah,
that's going to be some old lady's house.
That's
right?
So sad.
And it was just unreal. That was the cheapest you could find.
And she is not going to have insurance.
She's not going to have insurance. And so like it was.
She's fallen asleep.
Overwhelmingly expensive.
She's already asleep.
$2,000.
She's asleep when you drop the kid off.
So it's just outrageous, and that would just eat one of our paychecks and be like,
right.
One
person's working for
we're working to not raise our own children.
To still keep your insurance,
but then to keep our insurance because we don't have universal insurance in America, so you have to go to work if you would like your children to be able to see a doctor, or if an emergency happens. Anyway, off the soapbox. But this letter hurts my heart because I dislike that. Oh, what is my hobo name?
Yeah, Soapbox Jim.
That's it. Yeah.
People send in
we
hobo
got a
names?
whole list of hobo
good.
names.
We got to get back to that.
I want to hear hobo names.
Back around to hobo names.
We'll do that post show.
Yeah.
Great.
I mean, life is better now though with your kids back in the coal mines, though. Now that they're
kids
earning
long
their keep.
for the mine.
Third and fourth income streams.
Those really help. Thank you for repealing child labor laws.
Yeah.
But so to me, writer, the thing that stands out to me is that, I mean, look, there's a whole question here about deliberative process. I think you're hearing some great feedback about the nature of regret and that there's not a path where you just don't experience that. Yeah. It's sort of like this acceptance of what will exist no matter what. I mean, I think it's a hard thing because there are so many parents I know that the choice to have children is a choice of economic suffering. Yeah. And that is a tough experience. Having said that, I've never met a parent who has said, boy, I would have rather had a cooler car than this kid. Or boy, I would have had, less stress financially than this kid. Once you have the kid and this kid becomes what a kid becomes to a person, you have a hard time imagining another reality that would have been more fulfilling. But then there's lots of realities that are very difficult. There's people that raise children that have chronic health issues and all sorts of interesting realities. Yep. It's a roll of the dice, but that is the gamble of putting your heart on the line. And that's what I think parenthood has been for me, is the gamble of choosing to love these kids. And parenthood was good for me. It was fulfilling for me. It was a choice for me. It wasn't an accident. And it's the most important thing that exists in my life. But I think that's also something that happens when you choose to do it, right? I don't think it's like you have to make that decision up front.
I think there is sometimes, too, a little bit of, I don't want to say irrational, but because I can't think of another word, irrational fear that we're going to reach a certain age and then all of a sudden things that never interest us before are all of a sudden going to interest us.
Oh, right. Yeah.
Like kind of going back to the regret thing, because I kind of had this realization too, like, oh, well, what if one day I want to have kids?
Right.
And then I kind of have this thought like,
then you got to go to Jim's house, get that mason jar.
but then why would I think that all of a sudden something's going to happen where I'm going to desire something that I've never desired before?
Right. Good point.
And maybe it will.
Possible. But like, I don't know. Like I think sometimes we think that like, oh, something big is going to change and then I'll want it later. Well, I haven't wanted it yet.
Well, but I mean, that's just a case of we have all only lived the years that we've lived.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so we don't know what's coming.
Yeah.
None of us know what's coming. Like there is that kind of great beyond, and like, maybe when I'm 50, maybe I'll want children.
Yeah.
Like my wife and I we've always agreed on one thing, and that is that we've never wanted kids. Neither of us have ever wanted children. And we both, I think, kind of assumed, because we've never had any surgeries done. I've not had a vasectomy. She's not had her tubes tied. As far as we know, we are able to have children physically, and but it's never been something that we've cared to do. It's never been something that we've wanted to do, and but we never did the surgeries. I think because we both thought maybe something in us will change.
Yeah.
Something might change someday, and maybe when we're 30. Well, we're 30 now. Okay, well that hadn't changed, and we've checked in over the years.
Yeah, it's constant.
And it's like, well, maybe when I'm 40.
Yeah.
Oh no, still hadn't. Okay, I guess. And now I'm like, I should probably go do that vasectomy thing.
Yeah.
I wonder if I can get LASIK and a vasectomy all in the same day. Like, is this a package deal I can get somewhere?
Okay, can I just say though that I know too many people whose husbands have had vasectomies, like multiple people, and they still get pregnant, and I'm like, oh, what's going on here?
Right.
Like, I don't
go
know.
To the right guy. I've got a guy.
I don't
I'll give you his
know.
number.
Like I can think of at least like 3 people off the top of my head. That's a lot. Like I don't know.
Yeah. So a lot of your friends are cheating.
That's what everyone thinks, but I'm like, the baby looks just like their other 3 kids. That's why they didn't want to have another.
Man the whole time.
Yeah. I guess.
It works out.
But yes, I don't know. I think, Ryder, if this is something that you feel like there will be a hole in your life, and only you can decide this. If this is something that is going to just really weigh on you, that you believe it's going to just be a huge void in your life for the rest of your life, then maybe you figure it out.
Here's kind of some reassuring thought that just came to me. Ryder, I think that no matter which path you ultimately take, I believe you will have peace with that path. Mm-hmm. Because the 3 people that did not have kids can say very earnestly, there might sometimes be like, oh, that would have been cute to have a kid.
Yeah.
But they're not living their lives in sorrow, feeling this endless void vacancy. They don't look
not
at
because
me
of this, no.
and think, yeah, exactly. I stare into the abyss for other reasons.
Yeah.
They're not looking at me and be like, oh, Jim's so lucky with his 2 kids and his Boy Scout. Like, whatever. It sounds interesting sometimes. Like, great. Nick will probably help me teach my son how to golf, and he will get in some, like, uncle vibes for a minute, and that'll be it.
But honestly, good point, because I had foster kids for a while, and I enjoyed it.
Sure.
And I felt like, okay, cool, I got that out of my system.
You got the itch scratched.
Yeah, like, okay. So, like, I had, 2 teenage boys. I was able to kind of show them a few things. We had a few projects that we would work on, like, hey, here's how you fix this, and here's what you do in this situation, and, kind of giving advice. They had troubles, and it's like, hey, and like,
Nick was able to enjoy those children.
There it is.
I was waiting for that. Like, how can we tie this?
Well, and like
that
Big
was
Brothers
done,
and Big
and then,
Sisters of America.
Yeah.
Like,
Big Brothers.
Lots of charities.
Yep.
But Ryder, I guess I want to reassure you, because I know that you're going through this analysis paralysis. You're feeling so much angst. You're feeling so much panic. And I want you to know, I think either choice you make, you will ultimately feel that is the best choice you ever could have made. Even if you have a kid and you end up in financial ruin, which, like, most of the raising of my children, I was broke as a joke. Like, for 7 years, I was a teacher, and my spouse was a teacher.
Was your partner supportive?
Clinging. Yeah, my partner's a really good parent, and like that's
There's
one
a huge
thing.
difference in my friends that are single
huge.
parents.
Yeah,
like,
that is huge. That's the
know.
one thing that like we both are always like, hey, you're awesome at this.
When
golf
she's
game's
sober.
terrible.
Yeah,
when she's sober.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. When the police drop her off
when
in the
she's
morning.
not beating them.
Yeah. But no, I mean that's a
Once
big
CPS
component
leaves.
as well. Whitney, you bring up a good point. Like
Yeah.
economic realities aside, there's a good conversation one might have with, but I won't be supported. And look, but again, I come back to this idea. I think that you will find whatever choice you make, that version of you will say, this was the right choice for me and I feel peace with it.
Yep.
Even if you choose to
Cognitive
have a child
dissonance.
and you struggle having a child, even if you end up as kind of like a pretty unsupported parent and like you have to build your own community of other, parents and creating community among other people and raising your child in the village of humanity. I think even if you end up doing that, I think on those macaroni and cheese nights, watching your Netflix or whatever, you're going to be like, this was the only life I ever could have lived.
You can find happiness either way.
Yeah. Good book on this topic. Maybe you should talk to somebody or someone by our friend and guest,
Lori Gottlieb,
who did this exact story. And you should go back and read her book, Ryder, because she was very much in your position, was absolutely single at the time and decided to go to a sperm bank, and she robbed it blind, and ended up
made
with
away
George
with it.
Clooney's child. But good book. She talks a lot about her journey toward that decision. So I would recommend
It's also
that book.
ironic because if you donate to a sperm bank too often, you will go blind.
Interesting.
Yeah.
I'm over here.
And you'll
David.
get hairy palms.
Yeah.
Yeah, Harry Palms is
Harry
for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, you should look in my direction when you say that.
I will
All
not.
right. We're going to take a quick break, and when we come back, we're going to talk about the boyfriend's sexual fantasies. You're listening to Pod Therapy.
It's a threesome.
Today's episode is
Always
brought
a
to you by
threesome.
Robert Brownie
Always.
Jr. Mint, Kayla Lansbury, Cindy Ash, Kevin Chamberlain, Ben Stanley, Adam Hathaway, Myra, Liv, Heyo, and
Help.
Slurpikaye, motherfucker. Would you like to sponsor the show? Become a therapy producer at patreon.com/.
All right, so I'm up, right? I got 3.
You got 3, Nick's got 2. Whitney and I are both tied at the old goose egg.
But I want
Although
you to
I
know,
liked both of our answers.
Hoover Dam
I
was so
know.
solid.
Hoover
That was,
Dam and
I was
Pyramids.
Pyramids
just
was-
there,
yeah.
and they put you through the security
Yeah.
like out of prison.
Yeah.
I was like, "That's gotta
The
be
only
it."
person I didn't respect in the last round was Nick, because he
Just
obviously ripped off my
piggyback.
answers
Just
for
on
2
the coattail.
points. Yeah, he just drifting.
Okay, I'll go first this time. then.
Ooh, I like a
I think we
challenge.
can. I think we can. I was thinking. Everybody has phones in front of them.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Write your answer on your phone.
yeah.
We're gonna-
Can
we're
I
gonna-
write it into Google?
Ooh. I know, that's what I was thinking. I was like, go on.
So we're gonna write our answers on our phones this time,
All right.
and we're just going to say when we're locking it in.
A little bit of a
Okay.
honesty policy. Okay.
Okay.
I mean, we can see if you're typing something on your phone.
Yeah, all right.
Terrible, terrible, terrible.
Terrible's gas
Terrible.
station on the corner of Tropicana and Rainbow.
Oh,
Final
nailed
Supposed
answer.
to type it
Nailed
in.
it.
Oh, sorry, I forgot my own rule.
Nailed it.
We do have a
You're-
chain of gas stations in Las Vegas just
Called-
called Terribles.
And it was a hotel there for a while.
There was, yeah.
Now it's
Yeah.
a Silver Sevens.
You are herded like sheep from the moment you arrive, made to queue for hours in the open in 95-degree heat, as it is far too busy and uncontrolled. Everywhere is busy. The queues, the ferry, the island. We spent more time queuing than actually being on the island and going up to the statue.
Wow.
We went up to the pedestal, and it was all for less than an overwhelming view. Do yourself a favor, don't bother.
Locked in.
Locked in.
Oh, are
Mine
we,
too.
We
I
gotta
thought
write
that
it?
before it said statue.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
A little better now.
Okay. All right.
Are we all locking in right now?
We're all
Yeah.
locking
on
in.
on the big points.
Yep.
Yeah.
All right.
Should we read the clue for the
We're
listeners?
all locked in. Read
All
it.
right.
Read it away.
Yeah.
Okay, so the clue: this monument was a gift to the United States.
Yep.
From
From
the people of France.
France, I believe. is how
Where's
it's-
Jacob?
Sacre bleu.
Thank you.
Croissant.
Also, did you know its original color was copper?
Copper.
Yeah.
Its color is still copper.
Yep.
Yes.
Ooh.
I guess.
You
It's,
dumb.
it's still
It's
it's still
material.
copper.
It's
Jim, you ignorant
It's
slut.
And it's got a twin.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
In
in
Paris.
Vegas.
in Paris.
I'm like in Vegas.
and in
And in
Vegas.
Vegas.
No, the one in or
That's its
the
assistant.
one in Vegas is not a twin.
Not exact.
It's 1/4.
It's
the
not
size.
copper.
They
and
sexed
it's
it
not
up.
copper. No, yeah, it's a
Um,
different artist put it together and
okay.
made some changes.
Okay.
There's a funny story about that.
Location: New York, New York.
Yeah.
Answer:
Statue
of Liberty.
All
The Statue
right.
of Zeus. Thank you, Nick.
All right, let's.
No,
we all get 3 points.
Yeah, we
Yeah.
all get the max points on that one.
There's 4 of them, so we should do a second one now and do one at the
Yeah,
end.
let's
Yeah,
do
sure.
another one.
Yeah.
That was
Okay.
Oh,
easy.
but quick story about the Statue of Liberty at New York Casino. Several years ago, quite a few years ago, the U.S. Postal Service released a Statue of Liberty stamp,
Oh.
Yeah.
and someone at the U.S. Postal Service fucked up.
Oh no, they put the New York
They put
one?
the New York
Oh.
Casino Statue of Liberty on there because it was just the face.
Yes.
And they
no.
did the artist that made the Statue of Liberty designed it for the New York Casino in Las Vegas, changed up the face a little bit and made it
Yeah.
more attractive for people in the 20th and 21st centuries. And it just
Yeah.
changed some features on it and everything. That artist then sued the U.S. Postal Service and got millions.
Dunked
It was-
on
I
him.
believe it was something like $6 million payout
Oh yes.
for that person.
Good
I mean,
for them.
you're saying yes, we paid him.
Yeah, but I'm okay with that. That's an underdog story, man.
All right.
All right, so we all so
I'm winning.
we all
Yeah.
you're still winning.
That's all you
It's
need
got
to know.
6. I got 5.
Three,
and you all
three.
got
and
3.
3 and 3.
Boom,
Okay.
boom, psh. Gotta
Blank
get that.
would be disappointed. I visited blank somewhere around 84 to 86. I remember it was fascinating. I have been reading about his life and wanted to visit. Took off a weekday and made the drive. $10 to park on top of $66 tour tickets. Way too expensive for the experience. Staff were so rude. Absolutely no Southern charm. They make you feel like herded cattle. The tour through the home was so rushed. The iPad tour is so commercialized. Why not let someone who loved blank be the narrator so that they would have been...
I'm locked in.
I got it.
Would have
too.
been... There would
I've
have been
also
emotion.
taken this tour.
This is truthfully is like an amusement park with no rides. I believe blank would be proud at how every part of his life is on display. It is far too commercialized.
Yeah.
Save your money and look at pics, videos on Google. You will get a better tour.
All right, so I'm locked in. You're locked in.
I'm locked in.
You
I'm
guys don't
locked
have to
in.
lock. You can take your hint. Do you want to wait for a hint?
I don't want to give up my points
Nope.
Yeah.
potential
I'm
because
going
then
to,
I'll lose to you. Oh wait, there's more questions
I'm
though.
going
There's
to-
one more
Oh.
question.
I'm locked in.
I'm going to win.
Nick is locked in.
So
Whitney?
Fine, I'm gonna lock in. I'm a gambler.
Ooh,
All right.
shit. Let's
Gotta know when to hold 'em.
Now the only question is, do we all
Know
have
when
the
to fold 'em.
same answer?
Oh, can we do Final Jeopardy after the show where you bet your points?
Whatever.
Yes.
Yeah.
All right.
Since we're making up the rules right now, yes.
As well.
Can I go first because I think I'm wrong?
Do it.
Well, no, let's hear. Do
Oh.
you want to give the answers first or hear the hints first?
Oh, sorry. Yeah, let's hear the hints. Sorry.
You'll be able to see the King's collection of jumpsuits and jets.
Yay! I think I got it right.
Memphis, Tennessee.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Grace-
Liberace Museum.
Naturally.
Graceland.
Graceland. I did get it right.
Have you guys ever
Yay.
been to the Liberace Museum back before they
No.
tore it down?
They tore it down?
I don't think it's still around anymore, is it?
Where was
I
It's
it?
think
down by
they-
UNLV.
They moved
Yeah,
it at some point.
I think they moved it, but I
Yeah,
don't,
the
I don't
house
know if
is-
it's still open.
The house is still there.
It
I
was in
think.
a couple of different spots over the years.
Yeah, gosh, that was a great time. I actually liked that more than Graceland. So
Oh, definitely. Graceland.
I've
I
never been to Graceland.
haven't
You're
been to
missing
Graceland since I was
nothing.
probably like 12.
that 1-star review.
Have
was
y'all ever been to
surprisingly
Dollyville?
accurate.
Wait,
Yeah.
Dollywood.
Dollywood?
Dollywood?
Yeah,
I haven't been there, obviously.
Tennessee people. They love their Dolly Parton.
Because she's awesome.
She is really great.
In fairness, they're right.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Sometimes
there's
you're
some
just
music,
All right,
country
so
music.
6, 6, 9,
Right. Yeah,
and 8.
Yes.
9, 8. Okay.
Correct.
Boyfriend's sexual fantasies from Sarah. Hey guys, been a listener for a while now and finally worked up the courage to get some advice. I'm a 32-year-old female and live with my boyfriend, who's 37, of 3 years. We are very open with each
He's been
other.
37 for 3 years?
That's weird. I think 40s. I don't do math. We are very open with each other about our needs and wants, and in general are both happy with our relationship. Obviously, we have our disagreements, but we are always able to talk about them and work it out. Recently, we've been talking about sexual fantasies, and my boyfriend shared that he often fantasizes about other people and sexual acts while we're having sex. He described it as imagining himself doing sexual acts with me and unknown people. But he also said he has fantasized about his exes and other people he knows that he finds attractive while having sex with me. I don't really know what to say to that. I kind of just said I was thankful that he shared that with me, and we moved on from the topic. In reality, I felt hurt and now left with feelings of inadequacy, knowing that he fantasizes about other people, especially exes, while we have sex. I never had discussions like this with my other long-term boyfriends, so I don't know if this is actually a common thing for guys or if this is a glaring red flag. Would really appreciate your feedback on this and also any advice on how to talk about this with him. Obviously, I don't want to shame him for his fantasies or make him feel like he can't be open with me, but I also don't want to continue feeling less than in this relationship. Really appreciate all that you do, Sarah.
There's not enough people who are willing to shame other people anymore.
Shame.
I want there to be more
Shame.
shaming.
Shame.
All right.
People are like, oh, obviously I don't want to shame someone. No, sometimes you should shame people.
Maybe just say, hey, that sucked. Don't
Yeah.
talk to me like that.
I think we should, I don't know, we should set an example of being very open and honest. Jim, who do you think about when you're having sex?
I'm really glad you brought this up. So I think that the correct answer to this is to say, I also fantasize about your exes. I'm fantasizing that I'm them.
I think about the same people that your boyfriend fantasizes about.
That's obviously the power move. Well, sometimes I imagine you're my ex. Oh my God, that's my fantasy, is to be your ex-girlfriend.
We're so in tune right now. It's
I think
wild.
I figured out your kink. Get out.
Oh, so you're taking a yes and approach.
Yeah, there you
Yeah,
go. Everybody can win on this.
The Ryan Stiles version of sex.
Yeah, that's right.
I like that.
There is a way to make this work for everybody.
I've got nothing better to offer than that. That's pretty
I
solid.
feel like that's a pretty. You can stand on that advice.
I mean, I guess congratulations. I mean, yay on the fact that you guys are open enough that he feels comfortable enough saying that.
that's interesting.
But wow, that's
Yeah.
that's
Hey,
TMI.
Put your
I don't know
boyfriend
if
on the
I-
line for a second.
Yeah, why would he say that?
Hey, buddy,
is my
it's Jim.
first thought.
Listen,
Why would you
let
say
me give you
that?
some
Yeah,
advice.
that's-
Don't say that shit to your girlfriend.
I have
Yeah.
one
Not ever.
word for you. Dude.
Dude, what are you doing? Listen, your girlfriend is a very open person and she invited you to tell her all of your thoughts. That doesn't mean you have to.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You can just keep some shit to yourself.
Yeah.
I think that would be just fine.
Like, you could have ended it at sometimes I fantasize about other people.
Yep.
Full stop.
That's
Yep.
the end. That's a
Stop.
fine end of that sentence.
Any particular people? Not really. Johnny Carson, you know, just
they
whoever
cycle-
pops into
they
my
cycle
head.
through my head.
Milton Berle,
Yeah.
you know, just the usuals. That's Kevin Spacey.
I know.
I like that we could tell based on the people that Jim is naming what YouTube he's been watching lately.
Yes.
I don't know. She mentioned or asked if that was a red flag.
That's
and
where I want to start. Yeah.
yeah, part of me is like, well, if he told you, I don't think it's a red flag. He's like, oh,
It
yeah.
doesn't feel red flaggy.
It
to
doesn't.
Me.
And it's been 3 years, and this is I think the first time you're like, this is odd behavior or,
Right.
you know, not something we normally do. Yeah, that doesn't strike me as red flag. But even if it's not appropriate, it's not
That's the
red
thing.
flag.
Is I mean, this feels like
He's an
something
idiot
that-
right
yeah,
now.
yeah.
Being an idiot.
maybe like keep that shit to yourself a little bit. Like maybe don't give me all those details every time.
This
Yeah.
is important, though, because I think a lot of times when we try to give people sex advice, we always prioritize communication
Yeah.
as if it's a gold standard and can do no wrong. This is a great letter to demonstrate the counter argument to that theory, which is some communication good, but you don't have to tell everybody every goddamn thing
Everything.
that
No.
pops up in your head or every kink you
No.
have or whatever. Like, feel out the room.
Yep.
Like, some things are better left a mystery, especially the things that are just happening just for you.
Yeah.
Like, that can't possibly benefit your partner.
That's it.
And I think, you know, Sarah brings up the point, well, I don't want to shame him for his fantasies. And I don't think you are, because
No.
by it being something that bothers you and you not bringing that up, then now your sexual fulfillment, your enjoyment now takes a backseat to his.
Yeah.
Right.
And that's not fair either. So
Right.
I don't think there's anything wrong with just saying like, hey, this did bother me when you said this.
Yeah. Unfortunately, at this point, Sarah, the best you can hope for is that he does not continue to just fucking live narrate all the fantasies he's having while that's going on. I mean, that's the best you can hope for right now is you don't get a stream of consciousness. Like, and honestly, because you can't tell him, hey, I'd appreciate if you wouldn't do that in your
Yeah.
head privately.
Yeah, you can't
That's
control
thought
that.
policing. I don't
Yeah.
want that. You don't have to become aware of what his last thought is, you know,
Yeah.
before he enjoys himself. Like, I just don't, I would like for you to be able to communicate, hey, I appreciated that honesty. I think also I've learned, and I'm listening to this podcast about how maybe some things don't contribute to our mutual sexual gratification, and therefore it's not helpful. Like, because the purpose of sexual communication is to enhance and better appreciate sex. If you're adding ingredients that are not doing that, those ingredients are not welcome. You're not being dishonest. You're not being bad at any of this. You're not being bad at relationships. It doesn't enhance your enjoyment. So I want to know that. If I'm, you know, making you dessert and I'm adding all this bullshit to this cake and you're like, hey, I don't like almonds. I'm like, oh, well, I had them, so I put them on there because I didn't want to deprive you of shit that I have.
Yeah.
No, I don't like almonds. Just don't do that.
I want to share my almonds with you.
Yeah. And you don't have to, though. So
Yeah.
please feel free to tell your partner, hey,
Telling
this
me
didn't
how
help.
you're thinking about fucking your ex is like sharing an almond with me that I don't want.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah.
And now I
It's
know
a-
you want to share the
it's an
almonds, so
unwanted almond.
shit.
Yeah. Yeah. Like the Allman Brothers.
I think it's really good
That's
to tell him that you didn't like it or how it made you feel, I guess, that
Yeah.
it hurt your feelings. And that might open up room for him to say, oh my gosh, I'm really sorry. I don't know, to at least give him a chance to maybe remedy it a little bit. So it's
Yeah.
not just like, oh, that's a problem for you. Like, I don't know. Or you just continue living with the,
What do you think also about kind of taking approach of not just giving feedback on the things that you don't like, but then also following that up with, but here's what I do like. You know, kind of like, you know, I'm not really into, it kind of bothers me when I hear you say that you're fantasizing about exes, specific people that you know.
Mm-hmm.
However, when you do this other thing, I really like that. So it's kind of like you're kind of focusing communication towards,
I like
here's
that.
what I do like.
I like
Here's
it as
something,
long
more
as-
of
here's
this.
something you do that I
Yes.
like.
Yeah.
When you tell me about this, I really like this.
Yeah, I mean, it's almost kind of like, you know, kind of working with kids where, like, if there's a behavior you're trying to extinguish, you know, you can kind of talk
I want
about,
to be
like,
careful
I don't
not
want
to like yuck his yum though. Like I don't
No,
want
I'm not-
her to thought police him.
No.
Okay.
No, I'm talking very specific, like, I don't like it when you share this information with me.
Oh yeah,
I
that's
don't.
cool.
I
Yeah,
don't
like,
like
then
it when you
I-
share that you are thinking about fucking your exes.
Right.
However, this other thing you said in that same conversation,
The
I
Milton
really
Berle
dug that.
cosplay.
Yes.
I was into it.
I
The
love the
cigar.
big cigar. Yeah.
the whole bit.
I don't like it when you call me Cindy.
Yeah.
I do like it when you use my name
Right.
during
yeah.
sex.
There you
Right.
go.
I
Yeah.
do like it when you look me in the eye. I do
Right.
like it when you do X, Y, and Z. You know,
Also,
so
like saying that you're thinking about, you know, maybe a celebrity or someone like that, or even just a faceless person. Like,
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm thinking about us having a threesome while we're having sex,
Yeah.
and the person that I'm thinking about is just a faceless.
A redhead.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
There
whatever.
you go. Lucille Ball.
Yeah.
Or
Specific.
yeah, I'm
Obviously
thinking about
Lucy.
you, Lucille Ball.
Obviously, Lucille
Ricky.
Ball.
Who, by the way, Lucille Ball, gorgeous,
She is. I
gorgeous
love her.
woman.
You know, she seemed dead to me.
Oh,
Seemed what?
Dead. Pretty sure she is.
Oh, you mean literally?
she's currently
Okay,
dead.
I was
Yes.
like
Yeah.
you didn't like her?
Yeah. But, I mean, you're into your
I
thing.
thought you meant like her performance.
No.
Yeah. I was like,
No, she
Get
she
away
was
now.
hilarious.
I was like,
no. She's
Also,
a
the-
national treasure.
Also, they're
comedian
like-
Jim knows.
Was.
Look up like young pictures of Lucille Ball.
I'm not gonna.
And like sex icon.
Okay.
Like just like her, Betty White. You know, like it's that kind of vein.
Yeah.
Our generation thinks of these people as just being older,
Yeah.
and you go back and look at pictures of them when they were 25 years old, and you go like, oh, god damn.
Yeah, smoking.
Yeah.
Go back to the part about it.
Yeah, going on.
No, that was a
You
bit of a
have
tangent,
Lucille
but that's
Ball.
I do really like Lucille Ball. Though.
I believe you.
Put
Put your
but,
pants
like,
back on.
So everybody's done the thing where you jokingly or not, I suppose,
the hall pass?
the hall pass thing. Yeah.
Yeah.
And so we were doing this years ago. There were a few people
Everyone
around,
does.
and
I remember this bit.
and it was like, oh, like yeah, you say like, oh, these are the people that you're giving me permission to go have sex with if the opportunity were to arise.
Right.
And I'm going to say the right way to play this game, unless you have a relationship that kind of allows for that,
Right.
is you name people that are unobtainable.
Barack Obama.
That's it.
Yeah.
That's
Who do you pick?
Yeah.
So
we were-
waitress at Applebee's.
So we were doing that. It was all celebrities.
Sharon?
Famous
Yes,
around here.
Specifically Sharon.
That's it. We were just naming celebrities, and so I started naming celebrities that I worked with.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That I had their contact information,
Yeah.
and Esther was like, "You are not playing this
You
game
lost
fairly.
the game.
This is not fair.
Yeah.
You can just call that
She
person.
picks Matt Damon.
Right, exactly.
Barbara. You know Barbara.
Yeah,
She lent you her chapstick.
but that's kind of like, you know, that's a fun, like, kind of a ridiculous version of this. But
Right.
it's kind of the same thing.
Yeah.
Because like, I'm talking to your boyfriend now. Like, yeah, dude, you've got your ex's contact information.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
a possibility.
You can just call her.
Yeah, that kind of dabbles in an area I was gonna feel out with you all and see your thoughts on, because part of me was like, well, obviously nobody likes that. It's like, don't tell me that you're thinking of your exes while we're having
Mhm.
sex, but also like, why? Are you worried they're wanting to hook up? Are you worried that their ex did something better than you're doing? Like, what is it specifically
yeah.
that's bothering you? So then part of my brain went to like, well, do you kind of ask him, or you know, when you're talking about like, hey, this really hurt my feelings because, and
That's
he's like,
true.
no, I'm not even wanting to get with them, or maybe they did do something. Is that weird then for her to say, okay, well, I'll do that, or you know what I mean?
I get what you're saying.
Like,
yeah, so like,
but does
is
that
it,
open up? Is that like Pandora's box? You could open up to receiving more information you don't want, though. Like,
yeah, you could. That's a great point.
Boyfriend seems all too happy to oblige.
You
No
know,
question. Thank you for asking. Actually, I have some notes.
You know, I have more exes.
But that's a good point, though.
Watch
because
this
if it's
video
like,
with
if
me
it's
of me and my
something-
ex. This is
if
what I'd
it's-
like you to do differently.
If it's something about specific, like, yeah, my ex used to do this thing that I really liked, and so that's kind of what I imagine.
Yeah.
And it's like, oh, okay, well, then it's not about the ex.
Yeah.
It's about the
action.
behavior.
Right.
Yeah.
Or it's about the whatever that is. And they're like, okay, well, we can replicate that, or we can do whatever.
Yeah. I'm also a big
But if
fan of
it's-
never ask questions you don't want answers to.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I
and-
agree with
Because
that.
if
That's why
that's
I-
going to mess up your sex life because now it's in your head,
Yeah.
it starts to like implant in like this vicarious trauma kind of way that like now it's interfering. Like
But
I
it
don't
is
want you to do
like,
that.
but I think like the main point I think with all of this is that like this is the downside of like having that open communication.
Yes, I was
Yeah.
just.
It's like that's what, but that's also what makes it great. Like
No.
when you have that
This is why you
open line
never
of
talk to your
communication.
lover.
Well,
Yeah.
Not a word.
Let me finish my
Go ahead.
sentence. When you have that open
I hate it when you two
communication,
fight.
the thing that makes it good is the vulnerability.
Yeah.
Like that's what makes it worthwhile.
Yeah.
So, but you also then have to respect that. So you have to be able to say like, be able to kind of set some boundaries that are like, okay, I'm not cool with that, but do that in a non-punishing way or non-judgmental way. But you kind of have to be accepting of like, okay, well, this is the consequence of having that open discussion, that open dialogue, making this a wonderful thing. This is what's going to potentially happen. So we have to be okay kind of taking some bumps and bruises. That's
Right.
part of learning how to ride the bike, essentially.
Or if you have that type of relationship, you can make it all about punishment.
Ooh,
Yeah. You
that's
get out
what
the
he liked
whips,
with
you
the
get out the
ex.
chains.
Costs extra.
Yeah.
So, really quick tip for the general audience, because in this person's story, obviously, they tried to have an open conversation about sexuality. They heard something that was off-putting. Now they're trying to put the genie back in the bottle. And, like, I don't know that any of us have any advice for how to delete what you've heard. I think we're trying to give you advice for having a productive,
booze.
Yes, drink.
Yeah, just black
drink
out
to
drunk.
black out.
Yeah,
You'll
yeah.
have a
You'll
great
forget
night.
things.
You
Right.
won't remember any of this. It'll be fine.
You'll have to do it a few times to get rid of those past memories, but you can get there. Trust me.
Eventually, the amnesia always sets in. There is a website that I always recommend to couples that are trying to explore sexuality and develop that. It's called a Mojo Upgrade. I believe it's still in action. It's been a few years since I last saw it, but really useful. It allows two partners to kind of identify in a survey what they're interested in. It's all anonymous. And then it shares results to one another, but only shows you things that you both agreed you were interested in or open to. And that way there's no
I like
shame.
that.
That's
yeah,
really cool.
Yeah, because if you clicked something, you're like, oh, I don't know if the other person's going to feel mad at me for picking this.
That's
They'll
really
never
cool.
see that you picked it.
I'm not
Yeah.
sure if they're going to be in necrophilia.
Right.
Damn it.
Now you don't have
Yeah.
to worry about it.
Lucille
because-
Ball is out.
I mean, that's kind of the
She's
fault
great.
of the website for even having that as an option, I think.
Sex with Lucille Ball. Just why is it there?
Currently.
Current. That's right. Exhuming Lucille Ball for the purposes of necrophilia.
It's a threesome with Lucille Ball
Oh.
and Leonard Nimoy.
Oh, this show has just hit the shoals.
And I do have another piece of advice for the writer, and that is just casually, without saying anything, maybe just put some of your ex's photos just around the house.
Yeah.
Passive aggressiveness.
Oh,
is
no.
the
Don't
way
say
to go.
anything about it.
No,
just
no.
have like a photo of your
No,
most
it's a
recent
candle
ex.
altar in the bedroom.
Just
it's,
right
it's
there.
Rose petals
Yeah, I'm
on
thinking
the
bedside table.
Right
Say
there.
this turns me on.
Yeah,
when
yeah,
they're
yeah.
sitting
Yeah. Or just like
Actually-
some really strange kink, like the Pope, like Santa Maria candles.
If you have if you have like a drawer of maybe some sex toys, like some vibrators or dildos or anything like that, maybe that's
God.
where you keep those photographs.
Oh, in there. Oh,
Yeah.
perfect.
Oh, my gosh.
That's just a win. This also just reminded me of the number one comment anytime the Pope tweets. Do you remember this?
No.
It's just choke me, daddy.
Oh my god.
What?
It's the number one.
I don't know anything about this.
I don't
It's
either.
hilarious. Every time at Pontifex tweets anything, if you scroll through the comments, it's just so many choke me daddies.
Oh, that's great.
It is so good. Oh, we've gotten to the end of the show, but before we wrap up, we wanted to remind you, hey, go down to patreon.com/therapy. You can get the show. You'll get the extended version of it. You get it a day early. You get it with no ads, and you automatically get enrolled into our live chat Discord community. And if you do $5 and higher, you get our deep dives, interviews, skill shares, research roundups, and rants. This week, as this episode airs, Nick has a great deep dive into treatment planning.
It's kind of a rant.
It's a rant and deep dive. I thought it was a good editorial piece, but very informative and a lot of good feedback. I always forget how many future clinicians are in our Discord and in
That's
our
a great
Patreon.
point.
And so it was really cool because we had some members in there who said, hey, thank you for doing this. They don't teach us this in grad school.
Aw.
Yeah.
Man, does that drive me crazy.
That's true.
It
yeah.
is true. None of us learned it in grad school.
I didn't think
Yeah,
Yeah.
you learn it in the field.
Yeah.
But it should be taught in grad school.
But and that's
Sure.
that's the downside too, is like when it gets taught by like your supervisor's teaching you the quickest, fastest way to get it done.
Do this so we can
Yes.
because your
get paid.
supervisor's
Yeah.
got other shit to be doing.
Yeah.
Right.
You know, and so you never actually learn a really good way to use it as a clinical tool.
Yeah.
It's just used as paperwork.
If you're a professor at any grad school, this should be an assignment. It should be
Yeah.
an essay assignment. You can easily give them reading to teach them how to start playing out treatment plans and notes and intakes. All of that should be graded
Just
assignments.
send them to the podcast.
That's right. Yeah, just
Done.
There it
send
is.
us your best treatment plans. We
It's
will
a buck.
grade- Yeah.
No, it's 5. I
That's
guess.
Oh,
we got to
that
charge
one's
more for
5.
that.
Oh.
If we're doing clinical supervision on this show, we're getting
more
an
than
hourly.
five.
Yeah, we're raising the rates
Fair.
a little bit.
That being said, we're willing to do that.
Yeah, there's always a number. We're
There's-
also willing to
there's
go
a
to
rate.
Hobo Circus.
There's an
Yeah.
hourly rate.
Yeah, we're always willing.
Hobocon.
Hobocon.
Oh, we got to
The
go over the
soapbox
names.
gym.
Hobo circus is pretty good.
Hobo Circus is a
Yeah,
good idea. New people at patreon.com/therapy. Who joined the party there, Nick?
We got a new therapal, Rebecca Boonstra.
Boonstra and a new therapod. Welcome, Heather W. And of course, thank you to our therapartner, Dirty B, and our bosses, the mysterious and shrouded Illuminati members of the fan club, the Theraproducers. Thank you, Jake Schneider, Robert Brownie Jr. Mint, Smitty Scoop, Ben Don, Judy Schneider, Kayla Lansbury, Dr. and Mr. Hot Dog Scoop, Malia, Leon Kassab, Cindy Ash, Mason Miller, Richard Macy, Carolyn Albert, Kevin Chamberlain, Tess Miller, Newstick, Sammy Scoop, Ben Stanley Slap in Your Face, Polygon, Sarah Smith, Adam Hathaway, Byler T, University Jeff, Mike Helm, Myra, great trivia by the way, Paris, Samantha Cohn, Darren Cunningham, Lib, Team Monaco, Thunder Cougar, Falcon Scoop, Matt and Lisa Tangeman, Heyo, Oscar Swanrose, A Sunny Boy, and Slurpee Kaye, motherfucker.
And if you'd like to hear this episode uncut and unedited
Save your money.
and enjoy our spontaneous side projects, go to patreon.com/therapy. And thank you for supporting mental health.
That's all the time we want to thank. Back to one. That's all the time we've got
nailed
for
it.
this week's session. We want to thank our landlords, Matt Mattingly's Ice Cream Social Podcast. And thanks to all of you who contributed to the show today. We really appreciate it. Remember, Pod Therapy isn't something to keep all to yourself. Share this episode with someone who might need it. Tag us on the socials when you do. It's at PodTherapyGuys on Twitter and Instagram /PodTherapy on Facebook. Don't forget about the extra goodies at patreon.com/therapy and come support us on Reddit on May 3rd for our Reddit AMA.
Do you want to submit a question to the show? Ask anonymously at podtherapy.net or email us at podtherapyguys@gmail.com. I'm Nick Tangeman.
I'm Whitney.
I'm Jim.
Thanks, and we'll see you for your appointment next week.
Peace.
I love how I still haven't adjusted the script. Like, we
Yeah.
haven't
I edited
pretty
it.
much since...
The one I did with Whitney had a lot of good edits in
Oh,
it, and
well-
then I send it to you to say, hey, maybe this
You
is our
did?
default
I
one.
don't
That word
think I
good
got it.
is used doing some heavy lifting in that sentence.
I agree.
Fourth question.
Last
Yeah,
one.
yeah.
Here we go. By the way, home run, Myra.
Definitely.
Yeah, this
Yeah,
is
this
good.
is-
All right, so wait, we had 9 points for Jim, 8 points for Nick, 6 points for both Whitney and myself.
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, yeah, let me get my phone.
Oh, and are we betting?
Ooh, yeah, Final Jeopardy rules.
Oh, okay. I will bet. Well, you go first because you got the most points.
I'm going to let all you idiots
Or
go
do we?
first.
No,
I'm
no, no.
winning.
We just
I
write
get
down.
some kind of benefit.
write down your bet.
First
we write
seed.
it down. We write
Write
it down.
down your bet.
Oh, good.
Yeah. So 9, 8, 6, and 6.